Welcome to Grief Matters, a podcast that features conversations about life and death. Hosted by Lori Opitz, Director of Bereavement at the Joseph T. Quinlan Bereavement Center, no subject is off limits and no topic is taboo. Please submit your questions about anything end of life, dying, death, and grief to KarenAnnQuinlanHospice.org/Grief Matters.
Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk about what not to say to someone when you go to a funeral. It is uncomfortable for us sometimes to greet someone who is newly bereaved, and we have trouble trying to say the right thing and thinking up something really profound and supportive to say. But here's a few tips on what not to say. And one of the biggest ones that we hear a lot is, well, God needed another angel. That is not comforting or supportive, and it's not true. God doesn't need another angel. Your loved one didn't die because God was missing an angel that he needed in heaven. Angels are angels and humans are humans, and God does not pluck our loved ones off the earth because he needed an angel. So that is definitely something that we should not be saying um, in an attempt to be supportive. Also, another popular one is, well, he's in a better place. And if you're of that belief that there is a reunion and there is a heaven, it feels like it might be a supportive thing to say that, well, they're in heaven now. They're in the perfect paradise. They're where they're supposed to be and created to be. That may all well be true. And it is my belief that that is true. But that is not comforting to the people who are left behind. We know they're good. We know they're in a good place. We know they're happy now. But the grief is about us. It's about us being left behind. It's about us missing them. Grief is very self absorbed. It's all about us. We want what we want. We want our loved ones to remain here with us. So they're in a better place is not comforting or soothing to a newly bereaved person. Another one is, well, at least they're not in pain anymore. It is not okay to remind someone that their loved one died in pain if that is the truth. It's tragic if someone dies in pain that they didn't get the medical attention or the right medication at the right time. Maybe it wasn't delivered um, in a timely fashion, or maybe it wasn't prescribed properly, or for whatever reason, if your loved one did die in pain, someone coming to you and reminding you that they were in pain when they died, but at least they're not now. That is not comforting. And again, we still miss them, even if they're not in pain and we know they're comfortable and happy. That's not what the grief is about. The grief is about us missing them. Another one is, well, at least they died doing what they loved. And it seems like it might be a supportive thing, or it might feel to us as if we're saying something supportive, like they died how they lived, and that's the way it should be. That's how I want to go out. Maybe true, maybe very true. But again, the person listening isn't feeling supported by that statement because the person is gone. The person is going to be missed. How they died isn't really going to um, comfort them over the long haul. Then there's the ever popular, well, your life is going to be so much easier now. Maybe that person was a caregiver and was exhausted. Maybe they couldn't do the things that they wanted to do, visit friends and go places because of their caregiving duties. And that may very well be that they're relieved of those caregiving duties. But if you ask the caregiver, Would they take that person back and caregive for the rest of their days just to have their presence, their physical presence, and that person to have with them and hold their hand? They would take that deal in a second. Their life is not easier because they don't have the caregiving duties. Their difficulties have just changed, and the grief is difficult. So, that is not a supportive thing to say to someone if they were a caregiver. Another thing we shouldn't do is to talk about our own loss. I have heard from grievers that they feel like they're being held hostage at the viewing line when people will come up to them and say, "I'm so sorry. Oh, my mother died too, and this is how it went." And it was, and they really have no recourse but to stand there and listen. And it is not helpful for them to hear your lost story at the funeral of their loved one. So try to limit the amount of self disclosure you do at a wake, and just remember this is for them and not about you. Also, we say things like, call me if you need anything, or don't hesitate to ask me if there's something I can do to help. When people are grieving, they can't complete tasks, focus on tasks, remember things. They really are not sure what the next thing they're going to do is or what the next thing they need is. So, you asking them to call you and come up with a list is really not fair or something they're going to do. But if you say something like, "I'll come by on Friday and pick up the kids to give you a break if that's okay," that is comforting and supportive. So, coming up with a concrete idea instead of just saying, "call me," is much more appreciated. So, if you ever find yourself at a viewing or a funeral and don't know what to say, I can assure you do not say any of the things that we just spoke of, but a hug, "I care," and "I hurt for you," and an offering of a concrete thing that you could take off their list, they're good things. And just try and avoid the not acceptable list. And we're all privy, or all have done it. We all know these trite phrases. We've all said them, but we should be doing better and feeling more confident in what we can offer someone at these funeral traditions that we attend. We care a lot and we want to say the right thing. So, as always, thank you for listening because grief matters.
If you would like more information on any grief or bereavement issues, including options for counseling, please feel free to call us at the Joseph T. Quinlan Bereavement Center at 973-948-2283, or you can contact us online at copewithgrief.org. Please remember to subscribe to the Grief Matters podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.